What happened to you over in China?
So I woke up one morning like not feeling too good. I like played in the game that night. The next morning, I woke up still not feeling great, but it was just more of like a head cold and like a little bit of a body, like my body just wasn't right. And by 4 o'clock that day on December 14th, I had a 103 fever. And so they brought me to
Like,
the
I don't even think
hospital.
anybody's ever gotten that hot before. I can't.
Yeah, I never seen my body temperature that hot either. And that's it was really scary. And I was just like 103. I was like shaking. I was shivering. I had like the cold sweats. My body was like hurting so bad. I like wasn't even strong enough to like bring myself into the hospital. I was like wheelchaired into the hospital. I could barely stand up like for like a half a second just like to get from one seated position to another. Um, and then they brought me to the hospital and I was just getting stabbed with like a bunch of shots. They were taking my blood, all this stuff. And by the end of that night, they determined that I was diagnosed with pneumonia and an unidentified virus. And you know, I was in and out the hospital for like 5 days, including like so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the hospital getting IV treatments for like 4 hours a day. And then Friday, I was on a flight to go to an away game. But when I landed in that city, I went straight to the hospital, got some more IV treatments. The next day, woke up, went to shoot around. Then after shoot around, went to the hospital again and got some more IV treatments, and then played in that game that Saturday night. So my first day in the hospital was Tuesday, and I was playing in the game on Saturday.
Oh my God. Like, okay, so you're so far from home. Did you call Doobie and was like, oh my God, mom, I know like she's like a mom that I love. So
Yeah,
she can't get to you. What was that like when you called her, or who did you contact first?
I called my parents, and they were waking up at the time because it was late at night by the time I made it to the hospital. And I kind of like gave them a mild version of what was going on. I was like, hey guys, I'm not in the hospital. I don't want anybody to freak out. Like, I'm just not feeling too well. I didn't tell them like the severity of the situation, but I was
Well,
like
you didn't
throwing
even,
up at the,
I mean, you knew how you felt,
yeah,
you didn't know what you had. That's crazy.
but like there was a 14-hour time difference. Not like my parents could have like flown in and like taken care of me at the time. So I just kind of gave them like a mild version of like what I was actually going through. I was also throwing up a lot as well. And I just kind of told them I wasn't feeling well, that nobody panic. Like when you're overseas, they always just bring you to the hospital if you're not feeling well, but nobody panic. So I didn't want to worry anybody because I knew there was just nothing much that they can do. But in my head, I was very aware of how sick I was.
So you're in and out of the hospital, but your team is like, nah, you finna play this game. What
I
was
could
that?
not. Yeah, they were really upset with me. I had a game that Thursday. We played Tierra McCowan's team, and they wanted me to play in that game, and I physically could not even like bring a water bottle to my mouth, much less get out of bed, much less get dressed and play in the game. Um, so that was they weren't very happy with the fact that I couldn't move and obviously play in that game. But they really gave me no choice but to play on Saturday because I was, moving around a little bit and getting ready. But when I tell you I could not I can't remember one thing from the game on Saturday because I was just trying to get through it. It was a really tough game.
We
Um,
remember that stat line though, that 51-31 stat line though.
yeah, that was
Like, I can't.
honestly like I really wish I would remember that game because it's probably like one of the highest stat lines I had. For both rebounds or not points, but rebounds. But it was just, I honestly can't tell you like one thing about that game.
You were
It was
like on
crazy.
autopilot or something. What?
So I just drank like a cup of coffee before the game, and they were like, "Go play," and I was like,
What?
"All right." Yeah,
Coffee. Oh,
coffee makes the world go round.
what's your go-to coffee drink?
I at Starbucks I like to get a grande caramel iced coffee with soy milk.
Yes, the
Delicious.
non-dairy. This might be ignorant, but was that like readily available to you in China, like the Starbucks
They
order?
do. They have Starbucks. They don't have like the expanded menu that we have, but they do have like a pretty good amount of stuff, and they do actually have soy milk. So
And that's what it
it's
is. So
important. It's
talk about
very
the
important.
process of getting better from what we now know as coronavirus.
Um, I don't know exactly what they were giving me. I was so sick. I like
You just
honestly didn't care what they were putting in my body. I was just like, make this go away, please. Um, and I was just on IV treatments, like 4 bags of IVs, and they for some reason had to be a slow drip. So I was in there for a really long time, like letting this go into my body. And then I was taking um, oral tablets like every 4 hours. Unsure about what that was too, but those first 2 days when I had a 103 fever for like 2 days, and then it finally broke, went down to a 101, but still that's like a fever. It wasn't like I broke the fever completely. I just wasn't like in the extremely high dangerous level anymore, I guess they said. Um, so when we would go back to my hotel, they were my translator and my assistant coaches would come into the room and try to feed me because I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking, and they would try to like they were spoon feeding me like rice porridge every couple hours just so I could take the medicine without it like ruining my stomach. So I was doing that, and they were like making me drink some, and they were putting these like fever stickers. They're like cold stickers, and you put them on your forehead and on your face, on the back of your neck to like kind of try to cool your body temperature a little bit. So they were like pretty much taking care of me like I was a child. Yeah.
I mean, your translator is like half your size and has to like lift you up.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
insane. Do you think it's better that you
Right.
had it back then before the panic, or
Definitely. I was thinking about this when, the word got out that, I probably had it. And I'm honestly glad that I had it when I did because, I was so unaware. I just thought I had a virus. And, when we think of viruses, you think of just like throwing up for a couple of days and kind of moving on from it, and that's honestly like what I thought I had. I knew I was like really sick. So I thought the really sick part was maybe the pneumonia.
Mhm.
And then the virus was just like everything else kind of go along with it. But there was definitely like a sense of, oh, I feel like I can get better, not like a fear behind it, even though it was 100% the most sick I've ever felt in my whole entire life. um and I'm a relatively healthy person, like I don't get sick. But that when it hit me, it really knocked me down. Like I wasn't able to move, I wasn't able to do much. And I honestly wish I would have like taken more notes and documented my process a little bit more. But I was just, first of all,
Since
I
you
was just knocked out. I wasn't conscious for most of the time, exactly. And then also I didn't realize that it was just going to be this big huge thing that it is today.
yeah.
So yeah.
So China's already like a shortened season. Did you guys' season end because of Corona, or did it end because the season was over?
The season was actually a special season. The season was there was a national team break within the season, so contractually I had a break that I was already given prior to the season even starting. That started on January 3rd, so I was aware that I was going to make it home by January 3rd. And January 2nd, I was just like, okay, like get me on this flight. But there was no buzz about the Corona virus when I was there. I didn't really hear about the coronavirus until like maybe a week or so after, when it started getting more and more relevant in the news, and it started popping up on social media, and there was just like more of a buzz to it. And then I was like, you know what? Let me like look up the symptoms of this. 'Cause I was in China. I was like, oh, had that, had that, had that. Oh, a severe case is pneumonia. Yeah, I probably had it. So then I immediately went to the doctor, and I was like talking to him about it, and he was like, I'm not a betting person, but if I had to put money on it, I would guarantee that you had it. I also went to other doctors. They also said that I had it. Talked to my one of my doctors talked to the head of the infectious disease control, and she was like, probably most definitely had it. And then recently, I like saw in the news that they're testing people that had it for like antibodies and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm out that time frame. I called in, tried to, donate some blood to see if I could do anything, and I'm outside of the time frame because they need somebody that had the virus from 14 to 28 days prior. They need to test them 14 to 28 days prior to having it. So I was outside that time frame, but there's no really way of me knowing that I had it. But I honestly felt like that was what I had. It's
So you had
definitely
a
a
couple
struggle.
free weeks between, our lockdown and your return. So what did you do during that free time?
Well, I was planning on going back. My flight back to China was on January 29th. So I took a week and a half off, and then I started training again. And then I got a call saying that I wasn't going to be able to return because that's when it started to get really bad in China. And they were just like, wait it out. We're going to see when this thing, because they didn't understand how severe it was at the time as well. They were like, it's probably going to be delayed a month and then you'll come back in the middle of March. And I was like, okay. So I was prepared to go back in the middle of March. And then obviously everything kind of
Now,
took off.
NCAA is
And
canceled, NBA is canceled,
now we
Olympics are
have a
canceled.
pandemic. Exactly. Now it's a pandemic, and the whole world is kind of in a panic. And yeah,
So what have you
everybody's
been
taking.
doing?
I've been trying to stay on a schedule. So wake up probably around, I don't know why I'm waking up so early during a quarantine, but I'm waking up probably around like 8:30, 9, make,
I mean,
uh, make
habits.
some tea in the morning, make some coffee in the morning, do some like yoga and my workout, go walk outside. Or there's like a levee. I live in New Orleans, so I live like a block off the river, a couple blocks off the river, walk up there, and then come back in, do some weightlifting, shower, read. Yesterday, I actually watched The Tiger King. That was,
Everybody, is it that good? Like, is it, be honest, is it that good or is it like overhyped?
I mean, I'm not one to binge watch. I kind of like pace myself with like shows. If I like it, I'm like, oh, I'll watch an episode today and I'll watch an episode tomorrow just to like, you know, let it
Mhm.
like
Let's
savor,
breathe.
No, I like watched the whole thing yesterday, but we're also in a quarantine as well. So
That's
maybe
true.
that, but it was good. It was very far out, I would
Okay.
say,
That's
but it was
that's
good.
yeah.
It drew me in. It drew me in.
So Tiger King is something that I need to watch. Got it.
Yeah.
So the draft is coming up soon,
Yeah.
and they're having to do it virtually. And you've experienced the draft, and you went third round, 27th overall, and you
Hmm.
managed to keep a roster spot this whole time. Shouts to you.
Right.
What
Thank
would you
you.
tell young girls stepping into your place a couple years ago?
I would say like anything is possible. Statistically speaking, third round picks, you don't really see a lot of them, but it is possible. It's all about work ethic and, bringing your value. Everybody, you're not comparing yourself to somebody. I'm never going to be Deladon. I'm never going to be Courtney Paris, but I can be Theresa Plaisance and I can be the best Theresa Plaisance that I can be. So, every team needs solid role players. And, players like me go overseas and we can score a bunch of points in a game. Obviously, we're capable, but that's not necessarily what teams need. And just being able to do your role the best you can and keeping your value high, being the first one in, the last one out,
Mhm.
just showing that you want to be there more than anything is, I had to do it every single year until I had a guaranteed contract because nothing's for sure. And there's always someone that's working hard. And so you just got to make sure you're working harder than the person next to you and just maintain your value.
I love being in the gym when you're in the gym. It's such a good energy. What do you bring to Connecticut? What's your value?
Um, well, last year I was like really getting to know people, and it was like that team was such a fun team to like be a part of, and they like welcomed me. I'd never been traded before. I've only been, in Tulsa, and then we relocated to Dallas. So I've been with that organization my entire career. And when I was traded, I was honestly like kind of nervous about being in a new environment because all I knew was, that organization. And being a part of Connecticut, they welcomed me with open arms. Everybody was so nice and so helpful. And, they really got me acquainted to their system extremely fast. And on and off the court, they were just wonderful people to be around. And, I kind of prided myself. I was dealing with some injuries in the playoff time, but I prided myself on like being a great teammate and just keeping my value up. You can either be a dead weight or you can, bring something to the team. And since I wasn't able to contribute on the court, I try to do as much as I can, you know, bringing energy, bringing positivity, just like keeping the energy high. But everybody did
Y'all
a
did
really
not
great
like
job
energy
doing that.
in the department. Y'all did not like energy at all. Actually.
Oh, we were ready to go. We were like an internal engine. We had it within ourselves, and then our whole fan base was behind us. It was so nice. But you know, that's that's the Connecticut Sun, and we're
It
excited
sure
about this upcoming season.
did. What was your best memory of last season?
Probably just hanging out in Connecticut. There's not much to do, and so we got to spend a lot of quality time with each other, and that was just something that it wasn't forced. Like the team was very uh, open to just being like, hey, go and eat dinner. Who's coming? And everybody would be like, I'm in. There would be
Mhm.
like a few times where people have family members in town and stuff like that, but just being able to spend time with the entire team was so nice. And for me being a newbie, just being included and feeling like I was part of them already was something that was, special to me. It made me feel like, I didn't want to feel awkward or feel like I was like intruding on anybody, but they made me feel like I was part of the family like instantly.
What are you ready for this season with them?
I'm excited to just kind of build off of what we had. We made it to the finals and we made it to game 5 and we were minutes away from winning a championship, and the hunger that we felt after, walking off that court with a L is something that is going to sit with us this entire off season, and we're ready to bring that hunger and that drive to this season. And we're going to do whatever we can to make another championship run because we know what it feels like to be there now. We have some experience making it into the playoffs and so deep into the playoffs to make it to the finals that we feel like we have that experience, and we're going to do what we can to make it back there.
What's the light at the end of this tunnel? Like, it's so much going on, but we need like a beam of light. What's the light at the end of the tunnel?
Everybody just needs to do their part right now. Social distancing, washing your hands, staying safe, not only going out for the essentials, things like that. You can't have like a majority of people like buying in to this
Mhm.
quarantine process and some people not. And because the virus is going to continue to spread as long as people are going out and socializing. And, I saw something about spring breaks and stuff like that. Like, just everyone do their part and, we'll get through this. And when sports comes back, I feel like having sport is such a special thing because sport is something that will bring every group of people together, no matter your race, no matter your gender, no matter your age. Everyone can buy into a team that they love or a sport that they love. So when sports come back, I think it's going to be a really good thing for everyone, that we can have something to like really smile about and buy into and, be able to enjoy again.
See, I can't wait to see you on the court and I can squeeze you in person and not just like through a screen because this is just like
Yes.
can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. I'm so happy you're feeling better. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, of course, of course.